we talked a lot about the Busch Light apple,
and it's gone.
and it's gone.
You can't get it anymore. It's unbelievable. We're out. We were only able to find a little bit anyway. They're replacing it with the Busch Light Lime.
The Busch Light Lime.
I'm not happy about it. I think that's that the Busch Light apple was unique. It was different. That's what they did. They no everybody's got a lime. Corona, Labatt, Bud Light, whoever.
And
I
in
mean,
fact,
everybody's
even
got a lime.
some of the bars you go to, you get a Mick Ultra. They ask you if you want a
Yeah.
lime.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not anything that's unique or special or whatever. But you know what? Who am I to not try a beer?
Of course. And so what we have here this afternoon, our good old Bucky's cooler.
Bucky's, never lets us down. You gotta have the Bucky's cooler, and you gotta have the Bucky's cooler nearby. And so what you do is you pull out.
There it is. We have retrieved the Busch Light Lime. Ooh, they're nice. We got them cold pretty quickly.
We got them. Hey, look.
He's so mad about this.
I mean, there's nothing exciting about this to me. Like I'm
a little excited.
We're doing it because we have to do it.
No, I'm a little excited. I like it.
Can we just do it? Let's go.
Let's just get after it. Okay, so here we are, the official Bar Banter Busch Light Lime review. Happy belated Father's Day. Let's get into it. All I taste is Corona. I'm gonna be honest. I just taste Corona. Corona, Modelo.
Yeah, it's heavy on the lime. It's heavy on the lime. You know what? If you were to take like one of those little lime deals, the spray squeezy things, and you were to like just squeeze half of one into your beer, that's what I'm getting.
See,
out
I
of
think
this.
you're a little dramatic. I enjoy it.
Yes, there's nothing
I
dramatic
like
about it.
I would buy another case.
Yeah, it's just.
I would buy another case, but the reason being, here's my thing. If you are a guy who drinks Modelo with lime, right, or Corona with lime, you'll love it, right? It's nothing special or different from a Corona or a Modelo.
Actually, you know what, and you're right. It does taste like you put a lime in a Modelo, and that's exactly what I'm getting out of it. Which is fine. But again,
I like a Modelo.
But again, here's and that's fine. But what I'm saying is, when you're replacing something that is unique and good with something that is like a dime a dozen, you know what I mean? Like everybody has this.
Mm-hmm. I agree. I think that if they came out with the Busch Light Limes without stopping Busch Light Apple, these would have a These would have a better response. These would have a much better response. I think because these are your replacement, like you mentioned.
Yeah, that's the part
you're going to get a lot of bad reviews solely based on the fact that you're coming at it now as a replacement rather than a new product. Which is, again, we talked about this earlier. I think it's just a bad business move from Anheuser-Busch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think it's the best thing that Anheuser-Busch has done as of late is the Busch Light Apple. Think about all that. Listen, they've had a lot of controversies and they've had a lot of bad things going on. Bad naming, a lot of stuff. Like a lot of people have boycotted them in a way.
Yeah, the one aspect of it, but I mean, whatever. It is what it is. I mean, you're not going to make everybody happy all the time.
No, of course not.
Whatever.
But I'm saying, like,
but
they redeemed themselves with the Apple.
And I mean, again, they've got so many different brands and there's so many different things out there or whatever, but there was nothing like this is what I'm saying. Like, so everybody, I mean, there's Bud Light, there's Coors Light, there's Miller Light, there's, all this stuff. And then you got, Budweiser and High Life and Coors Banquet, and you've got everything. Bush Light Lime, Labatt Lime, Bud Light Lime.
Labatt Lime's
like,
only
you
northern,
got,
though.
there's
For
so
any of the
many...
southern folk, they've never had Labatt. But I get your point, though.
That's true.
But I get your point, though. Like I said, I've said it once, I'll say it again, and honestly, I'll say it anytime anybody asks me what I think of the Bush Light Lime. If you were to pour the Bush Light Lime and a Modelo with squeezed lime in 2 pint glasses and tell me to take a sip, I would not be able to tell you which is which.
Yeah, it's very similar. I will say that it is better than the Bud Light Lime. It is better than the Labatt Lime. It's better than those. But I will say, again, I even say the peach was.
See,
at
I never
least,
got my hands on the peach.
It wasn't. I didn't like it. I didn't like because I didn't. It's not that I didn't like how fake the flavor was of it, but at least the peach is different. There's no other peach beer out there unless you go to a craft brewery.
That's true.
Right?
And then you don't get the light beer effect of it. It's just heavy and
right.
Yeah.
You're getting a peach IPA.
Right.
Right. So basically what you're doing is you're shoving a tree bark in your mouth and you put a dip of a tree bark in your mouth. and then you eat a peach what is basically what you're doing. But anyway, I just it's fine. I'm not gonna go out and get it because whatever.
I'd buy another case.
Oh, listen, if it's there, I'm gonna drink it. Like if I show up at a party, backyard, everything else, there's a cooler, there's Bush Light Limes in there.
Yeah.
The BLLs.
BLLs, yeah.
And so you got the B doubles in there.
What are they gonna call it? Oh, B doubles. I like
B-double,
that. That's
the
good.
B-dub.
Because I was
You
gonna
got
say,
the
what are they gonna call it?
It's a B dub.
Well, because they called it the Bapple. What are they gonna call it? The Blime, the Sublime.
Oh, a Sublime.
A Sublime.
No, I call it's a B dub. It's a B dub, and so if it's there in the cooler and I'm at a barbecue or whatever, then I'll drink it.
Yeah.
Right. But I'm not gonna go to the store and look for it to buy it. Whereas I was with the BLAs.
True. That's true. If I'm going to a store to get something and this isn't on the agenda, but I happen to walk past it, I'd be like, oh yeah, you know what? Yeah, I could. Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't even do that. I would get what I was going there for.
Listen, and that's fine.
It's not going to pull me off course. Like if I'm walking in and I see a BLA, then I'm off course and the whole shopping list is gone. Like I don't care about it anymore because I'm just loading up every BLA that I see. Whereas, if I see the B dub and I'm walking by it, I'm like, oh, there's the B dub. I'm still going to get what I'm going to get. It doesn't pull me off course.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, and then also that's another situation too. Like the Bush Light Apple, there was nothing you could get close to it.
No.
If you, say they do happen to run out of the Bush Light Limes.
They're not going to.
But if they were. If they were, you've got Modelo. You've got Corona. You've got. When you run out of the Bush Light Apples, you don't have a substitute. Angry Orchard.
It's not the same because it's not a beer taste.
It's the closest thing to it, though.
But it's not a
without
beer
it being
taste.
A seltzer, though.
Right. Well, that's the thing. That was the part about it that the BLA was a beer tasting apple beer. It tasted like beer and then had that apple aftertaste to it, which was outstanding.
And it wasn't too strong of an apple.
No, it just happened.
Angries can be a little sweet at times too.
They're very sweet.
They're very sweet.
I don't
Very
know.
sweet.
I don't know. You know what? Here, listen. Drop it in the comments. What do you guys think? Where are we gonna go with this? Okay, let's rank them. Okay,
Ooh,
let's do
rank
that.
'em.
You got the BLA, you got the BLP, and you got the B Dub. Which one goes? I will tell you that I do know people and I've had conversations where when the peach came out, they were like, "This is the best thing I've ever tasted."
See, but I can't wrap my head around that one.
Listen, they loved it. So there are the peach fans out there. But you don't have the emotion behind the peach like you had with the BLA.
And again, correct. But to each their own. right? If you like the peach, you like the peach. Drink the peach. Do you, right? If you like the lime and you like the lime, drink the lime. Do you?
At the end of the day, that's all what it
At
comes
the end of the
down
day,
to
who
is
cares?
everybody just do you.
Right. If
Whatever
you
you
like it,
do, whatever you are, whatever you
do it.
want to be, just do you.
Just do it. It's your life, not anybody else's. Right?
Nobody what does it matter?
Right. Right. Who gives a shit what these two idiots have to say?
Yeah.
But yeah, all in all, the lime. If I'm craving a lime beer, if those are available, cool. If not, I can get a Modelo, and I'll have the same craving taken care of. All right, guys, welcome back to the Bar Banter, episode 2 of the rebrand. We'll stop saying rebrand at some point because we're in full effect now. But this is now episode 2. If you guys have been following along, we obviously had a few episodes before we rebranded, but yeah, so here we are. We're back at it. We're feeling good, ready to go. How was your week after the last episode? We had about a week before this one. So what'd you get into? Anything fun? Anything exciting?
No, I'm old. I worked and it sucks.
Okay.
So how about you? What'd you do?
Well, I'm young. I worked and it was awesome.
Okay, there you go.
So as you guys have seen on the TikTok and Instagram, I was at the Epson tour at the Highlands in Harbor Springs, Michigan, road to the LPGA. So like the women's golf minor league type of deal there. That was a very fun time. You guys saw I did the food reviews and whatnot. I was there with Johnny Walker, so huge shout out to them. It was a fantastic experience, right? These girls are phenomenal at golf. I mean, they're very good, and they're awesome too. I got to talk to a lot of the pros, hang out with them. That was really exciting, really fun. They're great and super nice people. We've got the dogs and
no idea what's going on upstairs.
Listen,
right now.
What happens in this house is you just let it ride, right?
I'm gonna
just let it ride.
It's unbelievable.
We've got all sorts of stuff.
A herd of wildebeest just ran through.
I don't even know.
Ohio.
I hope that I don't even know if you could pick it up on the mic, if the mic even picked it up or not.
Well, I don't know how you couldn't.
Yeah, it was like a herd of it. But yeah, it was a great weekend there at the golf course.
It was a herd of guinea pigs.
A herd of guinea pigs. That's what it was. The guinea pigs. But yeah, so overall, super fun weekend there. The food was all right. You guys saw I did the review from the 19th hole at the snack bar. But so as I mentioned, I was there with Johnny Walker, right? And so, rather than just setting up a booth to give out T-shirts and gear and whatnot, I mean, it's basic, right?
Everybody does it.
Everybody does it. Every brand, whatever. So we thought we'd go the extra mile. We're going to set up a golf simulator.
Fun.
Those are
it's
great,
good.
Right?
Yeah, everybody loves it.
So the first day we get there, I'm up there at 8 a.m., and I'm with my guy, and we're starting to set up the golf simulator. And the projector screen's there. We got a truss, for the entrance. And then we got these zip lines coming from each side. And so it's kind of like a cube, right? So now you're thinking, okay, so now you just need to block out the sides and the top, and you're ready to go.
Yeah.
Well, he's got these, like, little sunscreens. These mesh, like, 8x12 sunscreens.
Okay.
That barely fit on the sides and the top and the back. And on top of that, they're mesh, so the sun's just beaming right through them.
It's a logistical problem.
Right, so you can't, you can't see the screen at all.
No.
So you're like, okay, we got to delay the golf simulator for the first day. They send me out, hit the road. Now, keep in mind, this golf course, it's about 25, 30 minutes from your closest town, right? So I got to drive for those.
Harbor Springs, it's the middle of nowhere.
Harbor Springs, Michigan. We're in the middle of nowhere. So if anyone familiar with northern Michigan, Petoskey's the closest city. So drive 30 minutes into town. I'm hitting Lowe's. I'm hitting Home Depot. I'm hitting Ace Hardware. I'm hitting Walmart's, Myers. You
got to put the S on the end of it.
You got to put the S on
because
them.
you're from Michigan, so.
No luck because I'm looking for a thicker tarp, not a mesh one, like a tarp, because we're thinking we'll just lay it on top. He's like, get the biggest one you can find. All right, so I head to Harbor Freight. Good old Harbor
Springs, Harbor Freight.
Harbor Springs, Michigan, Harbor Freight. I find a tarp. It's 30 by 40. I'm like, this is pretty big, but he's like, get the biggest one you can find, and these, whatever. So I get it. We get back day 2. We're getting ready to set it up. When I tell you, we laid out this tarp, and this golf course, there was an outing before the tournament, right? It's a very renowned golf course. So it's very popular. It's very big. So there's over 200 golf carts. So there's like a big circle, where you drop off the golf. Every golf course you've been to, there's the spot where all the carts go. That thing was huge. We laid out this tarp. It covered the whole thing on the ground. The whole entire pavement where you lay You park all 200 golf carts was covered by this tarp.
So you weren't going to cover the simulator. You were going to cover hole one.
I was going to cover hole one.
Okay, yeah.
I was like to cover the pond in between holes. So it was unbelievable. So, and I don't have any video, and I wish I did, but just the process of us trying to get, and it's not, these aren't light. These tarps are heavy.
In the wind, it's a sail.
Yes.
And it's like to carry you away.
Yeah, like you're like to be in the movie Up and like just go flying away.
There you go.
And so watching three of us trying to put this tarp over this little tiny cubicle was unbelievable. So after 2 hours and all of this to get this tarp on top, and keep in mind we cut a good amount off of it, and it was still too big. We finally get it up there, and we're like trying to wrap it like a Christmas present. And when it was all said and done, 2 hours, a long day of work, it looked like a giant garbage bag over a cardboard box. Like, well, we can't do this.
You know what? The main thing is that you've got to get the inside of the simulator right. So to have the outside, looking a little ghetto, it's fine, it's okay. So but at the end of the day, can you see the screen? Mm-hmm. Can you swing? Can you hit the ball?
Yeah. So that's the other thing too. Yeah. So no, because we didn't have the projector we had to do it upside down, zip tied it to the poles. So we weren't even necessarily sure if it was going to stay up there. Also, the screen was upside down, and we were messing with all the settings. Couldn't figure out how to flip the screen so that it was upright. And then we couldn't also connect to the Wi-Fi to even load the simulator also for the first 2 days. So that was the other thing we were dealing with on top of the giant tarp that we couldn't get to wrap around the simulator. Good. Listen, it was unbelievable what went on, right? So finally, after 2 days of working hard and figuring this out, the IT comes down, fixes it, whatever.
Like that.
And
it's
he
IT.
walks in. He was like mad that he had to come fix it.
It's one button.
Yeah. He
everything's
sits there,
fixed. Moves on.
He's like, why was I here,
Are IT people the most irritable people that there are?
Yes, because we're too dumb to even think of the things that they walk in and do in 2 seconds.
Yeah, I feel like there's the biggest gap in you know what I mean? Like that's the biggest gap of people who know their job and the people they're doing the job for don't know anything about it, right? Yeah. So it's straight irritation, all day long. And most of the time, IT people are introverts to begin with, so
right?
They hate the fact that they got to deal with people.
Yeah, they hate it,
and then they got to deal with people that they think are dumb,
right? Which
it's
we are
irritated group of people in
yes,
the world.
Absolutely. Which I think
as a profession, I think,
and I think most times it's warranted.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But so 2 days go by, we never get the thing fixed. We end up third day, we just decide, okay, you know what? This whole tarp that we spent 2 hours putting together and this big, huge process and the frustrating and this and that, we end up just cutting the whole thing down. The director of the golf course, which, by the way, everybody involved in this whole entire weekend and the tournament and everything, fantastic people. Everyone was awesome to be around. They were always, a joy to be around. But she ends up just calling some group to come put up a cabana tent.
Yeah.
And so they come put that up in like 20 minutes. And the next day, the golf simulator's up and working. If you follow the TikTok, you'll see some clips of people trying it out and me trying it out and whatnot. And we ended up getting everything working, and it was good. But those first 2 days, I'm going to tell you, it was unbelievable. It was like when we were trying to get this set up for the first time.
I'll tell you,
like that times 10.
It's unbelievable.
It was.
You hire people. That's what we learned. You hire people.
Just hire people that know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And call it a day.
Yep.
So that was all. So yeah, great weekend. But I got a little fun game.
I like games. I know games.
You like little mini games.
I do. I like games.
If you're familiar with the channel, we've done a few blind ranks, some trivias, things of that nature. We're gonna hit you with another blind rank today.
The blind ranks frustrate me, and I'll tell you why. It's because you try to get it, it gets in your head a little bit because you're like, I think I should put this here, But then what if this happens and then it doesn't happen, or then it does it's a stressful situation, but you know what? Let's have fun with it. Let's do a blind rank. Let's go.
Almost
What
as
what do
stressful
we
as
got? What's the topic? You're spilling beers on yourself?
almost as stressful as me trying to figure out where to put my beer. We got a lot going on here. It's getting out of control here. But yeah, so for this episode's blind rank, we're gonna do sports announcers.
Ooh.
Play-by-play only.
Okay.
Not color commentators, play-by-play only. And now listen, there are so many great play-by-play announcers out there. We could do a top 20, right? We could do a blind rank 20, 30 announcers, right? But that's going to take forever, and it's going to be real tough. So we're gonna stretch it down. We're going to do 5.
Okay.
We're going to do 5 as we usually do.
Yeah, you always do
even
5.
10, even 10's a little much.
10's,
right?
10's much. It's
So
hard to keep track of. You got to do 5. That makes it harder because there's so many that
so many that I'm
going to
have to leave out. Yeah, I'm going to have to leave out a lot.
Yeah, and then you don't know, because you could end up with, if you leave spot 1 open, you could end up with like me back when I was in my broadcast days,
Right.
and you don't want that
Right.
as the number 1.
Right.
So
You were sports analysis. So
yep.
okay. So all right, let's do this blind rank.
Okay.
Top 5.
Now, well, hold on. You said announcers. Are we talking play-by-play?
Yes, play-by-play,
Color
yeah.
guys? Okay, so strictly
Strictly
play-by-play.
play-by-play. No color announcers.
No color.
I said
Okay.
that.
All right.
You don't pay attention.
Well, I don't. I'm drunk half the time. It's part of it. It's what happens when you work all week,
Yes.
and you work the damn job.
So no sideline reporters, no color
Okay,
colors.
so
it's just
all
play-by-play.
play-by-play
all
guys. Okay.
classic
Or-
play-by-play.
Or women.
Yes. Well, yes. Okay, so top 5, we're going to start you off here. Let's start off Mike Tirico.
Boy, that's a tough one to start with, right? Because so here's the thing. I'm going to I'll try to be brief with this. Okay, so Mike Tirico, a Michigan guy, he's fantastic. I think he does a great job. Now he's been doing the Notre Dame stuff. He's very good. He's very professional.
He did the Olympics and he did the U.S. Open.
He does
first round.
all kinds of sports. He does basketball. He did baseball. He did football. He does all right. Just because there's so many out there, I'm going to put him at 3.
Set that as your medium.
And set it as, okay, like you've got, hopefully it doesn't burn me, because he's fantastic. I love Mike Tirico.
Yeah, Mike Tirico.
Put him at 3, though. We'll put him at 3.
Mike Tirico's a good one. Yeah, of course. All right, so then up next, I'm going to hit you with Chris Fowler.
Oh, boy. See, here we go.
In my
This is what
lifetime,
you're doing.
in my lifetime, he's the voice of college
See, this
football.
is what we're doing, and I'll tell you that I have a little nostalgia for Chris Fowler, because a lot of people don't know or don't remember. When I was a kid, everybody would talk about Saturday morning cartoons and the Smurfs and all that other kind of stuff. I loved Saturday mornings, because Saturday, was all about Saturday morning. Was all about This Week in Baseball. And then there was a show on afterwards called Scholastic Sports America. Chris Fowler hosted that, and it was about high school sports and all, like the top recruited athletes in high school sports and everything. And that's where he got his break. And then he was fantastic. So Chris Fowler, wow, that's tough. Do I put him at 2? Do I put him at 4? This is a really tough one. You know what? Just because Chris, boy, he's known for football, right?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, in my lifetime and in my era, I put Chris Fowler as the voice of college football.
See, here's the thing. I feel like if you do multiple sports, that puts you above. Boy, this is tough. So I'm going to put him at 4.
I'm gonna put Fowler at 4.
I'm going to put him at 4 because he is a football guy. He's one of the best all-time football guys, but he's a football guy.
Okay.
I think of him anyway.
Yeah. So you got Tirico at
Right.
3, Fowler at 4. Next up, Jim Nantz.
Oh boy. So he is the voice of a generation. You know, he's the voice of the NCAA tournament. He is the voice of the Masters. Does NFL. Again, this is one of those guys. Boy, what do you do? Okay. All right. Jim Nance. He's fantastic. Boy, because I don't know who else is there, right? Like, do I put him at 1 or do I put him at 2? I don't want. Okay, I'm gonna put him at 2 just because I don't know what you're gonna come up with. I have a hard time thinking of somebody who could be 1 over him.
Yeah,
I have a hard time. I can only think of maybe one person that might. But okay, I'll put him at 2. So I got 2 at Jim Nance. I got 3 at Tirico. I got 4 Fowler. Wow. So now I got two people, and I got 1 and 5 left.
Yeah. So you've got 1 and 5 left, and I've got 2 commentators left. So the first one I'm going to give you, because I think it's going to make it harder for you, which is the point of this, Al Michaels.
So that's kind of the thing. Okay, you know what? Do you believe in mirror? I gotta put. I have a hard time thinking that there's anybody else who could be better than both Jim Nance and Al Michaels. So I'm gonna put Al Michaels at 1.
So then at your number 5 spot, you're putting Keith Jackson.
Oh, you fucked me. You did. You fucked me on it. Whoa, Nelly, let me tell you about a 6'4" sophomore out of Detroit, Michigan. Oh, man. Keith Jackson, boy. But again, Keith Jackson was college football before Chris Fowler was college football. And, you know, NFL, all of it. But Keith Jackson was Keith Jackson.
Yeah. I know you love your guy, Keith Jackson. Yeah. That's why I did.
Keith Jackson,
and that's before my time.
That's tough.
And I will give you the credit because I only know who Keith Jackson is because of you. So that's before my time, but I know you love him. So I had to.
Keith Jackson was amazing.
That's payback for when we did bucket list events and you put WrestleMania at the end. Yeah, that's bucket list. Or that's the revenge there.
Let me tell you.
Listen, that was the top 5 there. Those were just some of the more mainstream guys I could think of. You know, you got so many honorable mentions, right? You've got your Jason Benettis, your Kevin Harlans, you know, your Brett Musburgers, your George Blahas. You've
Gus
got
Johnson.
I mean, even your guys like Joe Tessitore. I know you're not a huge fan. You know, Joe.
Not the biggest fan.
Kevin Burkhardt.
You got Joe Buck out there.
Yeah, Joe Buck on there.
People want to hate on him, but I don't know why. I like Joe Buck. I like Joe Buck.
Your Matt Vasgersians.
Oh, Matty V.
Oh, Matty V.
The voice of every video game that there is.
Every MLB The Show
MLB The
around.
Show. Oh, he's
your
so
voice
good.
of MLB Network, MLB Tonight.
Did you say Bob Costas?
Bob Costas, you know.
Let me tell you a little story about Bob Costas. You know, when I was a kid, and I used to, you used to get the scorebook in front of you, and that was a big thing. When you would go to the games, you would get the book, and then there would be the scorecard in there, and you would keep score while you were at the game or whatever. And so Bob Costas, I would hear him say all the time, he would be like, you know, that's a 6-4-3 double play for those of you scoring at home. And then I would feel bad because I wouldn't be scoring at home.
Yeah.
So then I would go get myself a piece of paper and I would start scoring at home. And it's unbelievable. So yeah,
that's also
a
back
tough
in the
one.
day before the scoreboards were.
Well, yeah, I mean,
you know.
it's you would have to do that, but yeah, no, that's good. That's a good. Yeah, you got me on that one.
Yeah.
Keith Jackson. Oh, Nelly.
And you know, there's so many great announcers out there. Like I mentioned, guys like
Vern Lundquist was always a good one.
So many good ones. You know, and you mentioned Bob Costas as well as I mentioned Matt Vasgersian. You know, you think baseball, right? And Joe Buck had some great calls in baseball too. So I wanna kind of talk about something real quick, a little story time. And I'll let you take the floor with the story once I set the setting. But so for those of you who don't know, if you follow our accounts, you kind of can get a hint that we try and hit every MLB ballpark. Yeah. Right. So far, we've got 10, 11?
Yeah, I think I don't even.
Well, okay, sorry.
10 or 11.
So we got Detroit, both Chicago's, Cincinnati, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Miami, Tampa, Milwaukee, Philly.
10.
So we're at 10. And we're looking this summer to hit a couple more off that list. Stay tuned.
Trying to.
Make sure you guys stay tuned. So let's talk about our trip to Cincinnati. All right, I'll let you take the floor from here.
That's good. I will tell you that you knew the trip was going to be something amazing. It even started almost right before we left.
Yep.
Yeah, I had just gotten Toby.
Oh yeah, our dog.
And Toby was a pain in the ass, you know, and he was horrible when we first got him, and you know, I mean the dog just barked nonstop. He
barking,
tore up everything, and he would just, you couldn't stop him. He would hide under furniture, and then when you tried to get him out and bark while he was,
it was his favorite game.
And then you would try to get him out, and he would just bite you and attack you and everything else. I mean,
that was the game he played.
A Tasmanian devil for reals.
Not only was that his favorite game, but he loved to play it when you had to be somewhere and you were trying to leave.
Yes. So I found somebody to watch him for us to be able to go down on this trip. And they were like, "Oh, this is fine. We're going to be okay. We watch dogs all the time, and it's no big deal," and all this other kind of stuff. We literally, what did we get? 15 minutes down the road when I got the phone call.
We weren't even on the highway yet.
I got a phone call. It was like, "How do we stop him? Does he have an off switch?" No, he doesn't. You can throw like a piece of bacon at him maybe and try to get him to calm down enough to try to eat it, and then scoop him up and throw him in the crate. But anyway, so that's how it started. It was like, you know, are we even going to be able to do this thing? Or are we going to get people like, you know, so then we're driving down there. We drive down to Cincinnati. And so all of a sudden, if anybody who's driven through or into Cincinnati knows that it opens up to like a 5-lane highway, and it's crazy and it's mega traffic and all this other kind of stuff. Well, of course, there's construction going on. So it goes from 5 lanes down to 2 right as we're getting in there, and we're needing to get close to where our exit was for our hotel. Well, of course, at that exact same time, I get a phone call for work. A phone call that I had to take. Like,
absolutely,
I could not take this. So we're sitting there driving. All of a sudden, we're going down from 5 lanes to 2 and everything else. And there's crazy traffic and everything else like that. And I just stopped in the middle of the freeway. And I was like, I couldn't focus. I had to take the phone call. I had to do everything. Just stopped in the middle of the freeway. You look at me and you're like, what are you doing? I'm like, I don't know. It doesn't matter at this point, because I mean, people are going around us. They're honking. They're flipping us off. All kinds of stuff. I'm like, I don't know what to do. This is unbelievable.
Granted, the top speed at that point was like 25.
I mean, we're good, but still, it was like to have a car stopped. It was unbelievable. So that's kind of like, what is this trip? What is this trip going to entail? What are we going to do? It was unbelievable. So we check into the hotel and everything else, and we run right over to the game.
The game was great, by the way.
Game.
Yeah,
awesome game. Cincinnati Reds, St. Louis Cardinals. Yasiel Puig at the time was we were right behind him in right field, and he was like half in the game and half not. He kept like wandering off. It was unbelievable. It was the craziest thing. He would just wander off into the tunnel and then wander back out.
I think what he was doing,
he was between pitches and stuff like that. It was unbelievable. There was
3 things he was doing. He was
going hot dogs.
He was going, well, sure. That's an honorable mention. I think there's a few things. If we know Yasiel Puig by now, he was either ripping shots, doing lines, or hitting the joint. Is what I think was going on.
Whatever it was, he would wander off. It was unbelievable watching.
Just wandering.
And but it was a great game. It went. I don't know if it went extra innings or whatever, but it was a 12-11 game. It was really good. And everything else, and we were like, "Oh, this is awesome! We're having."
Well, the Reds actually came back because St. Louis jumped out to like an 8-0 lead, in the 3rd inning, and then it was like that for the majority of the game. And then like the bottom of the 8th. Cincinnati kind of fired it up, and it was an exciting,
fantastic game. Comeback fell short, but it was good. It was a good time, and so then we go back to the hotel. Now the hotel, it was a nice hotel. We're there, and it's late though because there was a night game and everything else, and so we get back and we're like, we're hungry.
And I'm not 21 yet.
At the time,
I'm
so
not 20. I'm 20
go
at
to
the time.
Bar. We weren't going to go to a bar. So we come back and we're like, you know what, listen, because at that trip, what we had planned was then we were going to wake up and then we were going to drive up to Cleveland and go to the Indians game. So we're like, okay, well, let's just go back to the hotel, see if we can get food at the hotel. We'll get a good night's sleep. We'll wake up. We'll drive into Cleveland. We'll have a good time in Cleveland. And so nothing's open except for the little snack bar thing that they got going on. So I go down there. I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna grab a bunch of chips, some candy bars, some Gatorades and waters and stuff like that for the morning and all that. So I go down there and I'm like you gave a kid $100 and told him to run into a gas station and come out with stuff. I got like a bunch of bags of chips. I got some candy bars. I got some Skittles. I got all kinds of stuff going on. I got some Gatorades, waters, Diet Cokes.
And while he's doing that, I say, okay, I'm going to go ahead and take a shower.
So, and I go down there. So, and I put everything on the counter. And this dude behind the counter, I mean, my God bless him. He smoked all the weed
there ever was.
I mean, he smoked all the weed that was in Cincinnati that night. I walk up to the counter, and first of all, I'm like, holy shit. Like I'm buzzed just because I walked up to the counter and smelled him. He looks at me and I put the stuff on the counter. He looks at me. He's like, oh no, dude. He goes, I ain't adding all that up. He goes, you give me $8 and we're good. I'm like, are you serious? He goes, yeah. He goes, oh man, just give me $8. He goes, it's $8. I'm like, I got 15 things here, and you know damn well every one of them costs $4 or $5 a piece.
Right.
He's like, just give me $8. We're good. I'm like, all right, dude. All right, cool. All right, so boom, here's $8. Let's go. So I take it all up into the room and everything like that. So I come up there. Jake's done taking a shower. Jake's like, he's like, the shower's it's leaking. It won't shut off.
Yeah,
it's just not just leaking. Like it's like almost like not like a full stream, but it's like it's like a half stream. Like it's like to where you're not going to sleep at all because you're hearing. Like if you put the drain down, it would have overflowed. Before the end of the night. So we're like, well, shit, we got to do something about this. We can't just let this happen all night because we're not going to sleep. So whatever. So I called down the front desk. Well, guess who answers? Guess who answers the phone? It's my guy. He's like, oh, what's up? And I'm like, hey, listen. Do you got maintenance or somebody that can come and try to fix our shower's broke and it's running the water. There's running water, and we got to get it fixed. And he's like, okay. He's like, I'm on it. He's like, I'm on it, man. I'm like, all right, listen, my guy, he's on it. I go, my guy, he's on it. So, I don't know, 15, 20 minutes later, all of a sudden we get a knock on the door. I'm like, finally, like maybe they had to pull the maintenance guy out of bed or something like that. Because it's late now.
At this point, it's after midnight.
It's 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning. I'm like, maybe they pull the maintenance guy out of bed. I open the door. It's my guy. And he's standing there. And he's got the biggest monkey wrench. And he's got a hammer in his hand. And he's like, what's up, dude? And I'm like, you've got to be kidding me. Right? Like, you got to be kidding me. He comes in. He goes, what's wrong, guys? What's wrong? And I'm like, dude, there's no maintenance. He's like, nah, dude. He's like, I got it. And so he comes in. And he comes into the bathroom. He's like, whoa, dude. He goes, that's bad. And so we're like, okay. So he's in there. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, Jake, that was the dude that was like, he told me $8. And he's like, oh my God, this is unbelievable. So we're sitting in the hotel. And so all of a sudden we're just hearing in the bathroom, we're here, bang, 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 bang. Bang, 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 bang. This went on for 15, 20 minutes. I mean, it was unbelievable. And then the next thing we know, he comes out. He's got his sleeves rolled up. He's covered. He's got water all down the front of him. He comes in. He's holding this big ass monkey wrench and a hammer in his hand. And he comes in. He goes, "Do you guys need to use the shower tonight?" And we're like, "No." He's like, "Good, because you ain't gonna be able to." And then it was just, and then that was the end of it. Then he was like, he's like, sorry.
And then he leaves.
And he walks away and he leaves. And we're like, what the hell happened? We go and walk in there. We walk into the bathroom, and the faucet that the water runs out of for the tub
Off the
He
wall.
banged it off the wall. The tiles shattered all around it, a big hole. He took a towel, like a full towel, and jammed it into the hole to stop the water. The water, you could see it dripping from the bottom of the towel because it's still coming out, and it was unbelievable. He had towels all in the bottom
All
of the tub
over the place.
and everything, and he was like, "That's it, you're good." We were like, "Oh my God, this is unbelievable." In the morning, they were like, "Hey, how was your stay?" We're like, "Well,"
They
and
ended
so
up
they ended
comping
up
our
comping
stay.
us
Yeah.
the room, which was cool. But I mean, and I felt bad for my guy. I don't even know if he actually
That was about to
worked
say,
there, to
was
be
he even
honest
on
with you.
payroll?
I don't think he worked there. I think he was just some dude that was high,
Some
wandered off
homeless
the
dude in
street.
downtown Cincinnati who was just stoned off his mind.
Oh, it was unbelievable.
Because I don't think he did he even have a name tag on? I don't think
No.
he did. No.
No.
I don't even think he had like the hotel logo on his shirt.
Yeah.
He just had like a navy blue polo on and some cargo pants.
He had no idea where he was. I don't know where the tools came from. Like if you're like he can't. I mean, he like it was like the biggest monkey wrench you ever seen, and a hammer.
Top 5 greatest stories.
It was unbelievable.
And trust me, we've got a lot of stories from our trips to the ballparks, and you'll hear them all as time goes on. Don't you worry. But we had to kick it off with Cincinnati because that was
you gotta use the shower because you ain't gonna be able to.
And I'm 19 at the time, 19, 20. So I'm like, I'm just like, I don't even understand.
It was unbelievable. It was unbelievable.
But that's
was so
that
good.
was the Cincinnati
I had a
trip.
picture. I had a picture of it,
and that's the other part
when
too.
When I was transferring computers and all kinds of other stuff, whatever. Somehow a picture ended up getting lost. But I'm telling you,
he lost the picture.
He broke the faucet off of the tub.
If you guys don't see the picture below or at some point, just know we tried to find it. We've been trying to find it for years, but we're trying extra hard now. If we can't find the picture, I'm gonna tell you
that picture's as gone as he
Imagine going into your basement or your not basement, your bathroom, right, and taking the faucet off the wall, and then the hole that the faucet was in, shoving a towel into it.
Put a hole where your bathtub faucet was, the size of your head. Put a hole right there in your tile, in everything else, and let water come gushing out of it, and then take as many towels as you can and jam them in there to shut it down. That's exactly what happened, because it was unbelievable. It was the most incredible thing that I ever witnessed.
It was so good.
I was like, I don't know what this dude's doing, and it was like tink 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 tink.
Yeah. The sound effects were the best part about it, because we weren't going in there and watching him do what he was doing.
No, I was like, I don't know what he's doing.
We should have recorded, but we weren't thinking at the time. But
what he's doing.
But unbelievable. So yeah, Cincinnati Reds game was really fun. Speaking of Reds game, they just won the series against our Tigers. What the hell was that all about? We had a rough outing there, but we're still the best team in baseball record wise. Outside of that, you got the Tigers. How are we feeling still? And then the rest of the MLB, right? You got a lot going on.
Yeah, I think the Tigers. Here's where we're getting into. We're getting into a situation where hopefully injuries don't come back to bite us. We saw this with the Lions and everything else, that you start off great and everything else, and you're the best team in the league, and then all of a sudden injuries happen, and hopefully that's not the case. We lose Jackson Jobe, who had been pitching well, and all this other stuff, and you got the pitching is where the problem is. But I will say AJ Hinch, he proved it last year that he was good about just using matchups and plugging people here and there and everywhere. So yeah, I mean, is it going to be enough to continue on for the rest of the year? Hopefully. I think that there's a lot of talent on the team. There's some, and there's still stuff that's going to happen. I mean, you got the trade deadline coming up. I mean, you get a couple of veterans in there, you get a little bit of talent and stuff like that. You never know. Yeah. So
and speaking of the trade deadline, we've already had one trade, Boston and San Francisco.
Yeah. Yeah, that was unbelievable. So Rafi Devers, the situation, it's a rough one because, right, like, so you got Rafi, who was the face of the franchise, right? Then you sign Alex Bregman, and Alex Bregman's a Gold Glover at third base. Rafi's not. Clearly not.
Yeah.
He's most errors in his time as a third baseman of anybody else in the league and everything else. So he's just not a defensive player. But so you're like, okay, listen, hey, Rafi, we need you to DH like David Ortiz did, right? Like you're our next David Ortiz. And he's like, no, I played third base and everything else. And he fought him on that and everything. And it's like, come on, Rafi, let's go. So then finally he does. He starts out bad. He was 0 for 19 with 17 strikeouts or some crazy stuff in the beginning.
Great at all.
Bad at it. And then he finally started getting into it. He had 14 home runs, hit his 15th the day that he was traded. But prior to that, Tristan Casas gets hurt, who was their first baseman of the future. He's hurt. He's done. Now they're like, hey, Rafi, we need you to go ahead and play first. Rafi's like, no, you want me to DH? I'm going to DH. And it's like, okay, dude, listen, you got Miguel Cabrera, who started in the outfield, then played third, then played first, then DH. You got, Bryce Harper, who played in the outfield, then played first. You got guys, I mean, Joe Mauer, who was, he played, one of the best catchers there was. And he was like, okay, so I got to go play first now and stuff like that. So it's like, what. Boston just kind of got sick of it, but it seems like they just kind of like gave him up.
Yeah,
for, the main name that they got back, they sent down to AAA.
Right, it wasn't like a blockbuster trade.
No,
by any
they were just like, we got to get rid of him.
Which I mean, I can see
get
as far
as far away from us as possible. Let's put him on the West Coast. Right?
I can see as far as attitude goes. I can see why they wanted to get rid of him. But is it a head scratcher? I don't necessarily think so. I think we got to see how it plays out first. I can definitely see where the thought process could have been. But then trades that haven't happened yet, but that absolutely need to happen, right? Come deadline, Paul Skeens.
Yeah, the biggest one has to be Paul Skeens. Paul Skeens has to be moved. It just doesn't make sense anymore to put all your eggs in a starting pitcher's basket at this point, right?
For a team that just doesn't hit.
Yeah, Paul Skeens is what 1-5 on the year. Maybe I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but he's got the best ERA in the league, but he's got the worst record. And it's frustrating to see a guy like this, especially when as the Pittsburgh Pirates, I can go ahead and trade this guy and I can get a haul for him. I can get 2-3 really good players for him that's going to make my team better. And Paul Skeens then gets to actually pitch for a team that's going to be in the playoffs or in a playoff hunt and everything else. And that's what everybody wants to see anyway. It just makes sense because a pitcher goes out there every 5 days. You're lucky if you get 7 innings from them.
Right.
And even if they pitch 7 shutout innings, your bullpen blows the game and you don't score any runs, you don't win anyway.
Right.
So starting pitching is not what it used to be. And, Tarek Skubal and Paul Skeens are the only two that are keeping starting pitching even in the conversation and relevant at this point in time. So if I'm Pittsburgh, I got to make my team better.
Yeah.
I trade you. I get what I can. And then for Paul Skeens, let's see him in the playoffs. We want to see him in the playoffs. When it comes down where it matters, that's when it matters. Not in the regular season. Right. It matters in the playoffs when you got a guy. I mean, because let's just kind of correlate it to the college, World Series. Arkansas is facing elimination, and then you go out there and you throw this kid out there, and he pitches a no-hitter in an elimination game,
which is. What was it? It was only the third
no-hitter in College World Series history, and interviewed the kid after the game, and he said, "Well, I shouldn't have hit the one guy." Yeah, But I mean, hey, look, I mean, that's when it matters. So again, Paul Skeens got to move.
Yeah, he's definitely got to move. It just makes sense, right? The U.S. Open, right? J.J. Spawn, congrats. He ended up winning the U.S. Open. He started out hot and really did not slow down. But you got to feel for guys like Sam Burns, right? Of course, the harsh weather conditions, right? It definitely played a factor into that final round there towards the end. I mean, what do you think?
Yeah, I'll get into it real quick, and I think that unfortunately this is kind of the problem with the PGA, right? Like this is why Live was born, and we talked about after the Masters, we were like, okay, we think this is kind of the end of Live, like it's kind of outlived its usefulness,
Outlived.
outlived, right? Its usefulness, and we need to get all the players back to playing all the tournaments and everything else, and we made changes within the PGA that the people who bolted to Live wanted to have changed. Okay, so now let's come to an agreement. Let's get it done. Let's merge. Let's be done with it and move on. Right now, you get the U.S. Open, which is the PGA's showcase. Right? We talk about the Masters and everything, but the Masters is about the Masters. It's not about the PGA. The U.S. Open is about the PGA. We talk about the PGA Championship, whatever. The U.S. Open is the PGA showcase. This is where you shine, and you come to a course and you make the rough and the place almost unplayable.
Well, I mean, it's already the hardest course in golf, in my opinion.
The ball goes in the rough and it's gone. You had a situation where very late in the fourth round you had no players under par.
Yeah.
And is that fun for everybody to watch? Is that fun for people to know? So then on top of it, which add insult to injury, now you get the bad weather conditions that happen. And because of the way that the course was, Sam Burns is tied with Spahn on the 15th. He's on 15 and he's tied for the lead and everything else, and his ball rolls down and nuzzles up against the fringe. Because of the rain and the weather and everything else, all this water had come down, and now the ball's sitting in standing water.
Yeah. The
ball's sitting in water. Burns is standing in the water. He's taking his practice shots, and you can see it's like he might as well be just swinging his club in a pond.
Right.
And all this water's popping up here. He calls a rules official over. Rules official says, Nope, you got to play it. And he says, well, this is ridiculous, whatever. I want a senior rules official. So he goes and he gets the next level up and whatever, and the guy comes over. He's like, no, you got to play this thing. And anybody who's ever played golf in the rain, in the wet, and everything else knows exactly what's going to happen on that shot. The ball spins off the club face because it's wet.
Yep.
And then, boom, it's into the rough, and then the rough is unplayable, and it's like, boom, 2 shots out of the rough. Next thing you know, he double bogeys and everything else, and he's, after 15, he's now out of contention and stuff like this, and it's frustrating because this is exactly why Live was born.
Right.
The Sergios of the world and everybody else were like these types of conditions, these types of tournaments, these types of rulings, and everything else are ridiculous. The fans don't want to see it. The players don't want to play in it. There's no benefit to it. Like, what are we doing?
Right. And like you mentioned, we talked about it right after the Masters. Okay, the Masters this year was so good.
So good.
Like, this could finally be the moment where we finally can put an end to all the Live stuff and da-da-da-da. And then, the U.S. Open rolls around, another fantastic tournament that everyone looks forward to in the golf world. And then you have an instance like this, and it's like, man, you feel like you took 2-3 steps backwards when we were just making all this progress, to get, so it's frustrating. And again, we're not taking anything away from JJ Spawn by any stretch of the imagination, but
absolutely
it just,
not, because the putt he made on 18 was unbelievable.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, unbelievable.
Yeah.
I mean,
and
that is a clutch of a putt as you could have. I mean,
absolutely.
Fantastic.
You talk clutch, right? So all in all, I think it was an exciting U.S. Open, right? I mean, you had Rory tearing apart the course, breaking tee boxes and throwing clubs, but I guess when you're a Grand Slam champion, you can kind of do whatever you want.
I mean, you're one of 6, so do what you do.
Right. Yeah, do what you do. You have that title. But I was a little upset, and kind of I didn't lose interest, but I was a little like after my guy Bryson didn't make the cut. After this was his defending championship tour, right? He defended it. He's and he didn't do a great job defending it. But Oakmont's a hard course, man. So all in all, we'll see what goes forward here. Obviously, there's a lot of tournaments ahead, right? There's a lot of time to correct this. At least I say that, but I feel like the only reason Live started years ago is because nobody did correct it. So we'll see what the PGA does. But all right, that's the world of sports right now. Current events going on. We've dove into a couple things, right? We've done the review of the Busch Light Apple. We've talked about the Cincinnati Busch Light Lime.
The B-Dub.
I just missed the BLA so much already.
I know. Yeah. Well,
we talked about our Cincinnati trip.
Yeah, it's good.
We got into some current events of sports.
You ain't gonna be able to.
We talked about putting tarps over golf simulators.
You gotta put the tarp.
Now I want to close out with I think a very fitting and popular topic. So as you guys know, we are now bar banter.
Banter.
You love to sit at the bar.
This is what banter. We've just been bantering this whole entire time.
And you love to sit at the bar and just banter.
You love it.
Now, but with that comes some negatives, right? So I'm going to ask you.
Okay.
What are some of and the worst bar situations? Is it a bad TV fiasco? No TVs can put any game on. Nobody knows how to work the TVs. You walk in and there's Roku screens on. Okay. Is it slow service? Okay. Is it you order a Coors Light and they give you a Miller Lite? Is it, a dirty bar top that wasn't wiped down? Is it, when you go there to watch a game or you go there to just relax and have dinner and they've got trivia or karaoke going on with a loud speaker blasting everywhere? Is it, we love some bar banter, but there's also the chatty McGee who takes it too far.
Yeah.
What are some of the worst, if not the worst, bar situations there?
Oh boy, I think well, listen, okay, so I think there's three situations that come to mind right off the bat. Like, number one, and we'll take it as you walk in, right?
Okay.
Like, so this is like a progression of you're going to the bar. So you walk into the bar. And the first thing is the bar's packed, and you can't find a spot to elbow up. That's a little bit frustrating. Like, I mean, it's like, yeah, do I grab a high top? But that's not the same as you want to be able to sit at the bar. You want to be able to sit at the bar. You want to be able to not be crowded at the bar. So right. I think that's number one. Like, if you walk in, and even if there's like one seat open and you're like, I gotta sit here.
But at least you can bow up and you can dig.
You can belly up, you can bow up, you're up there, whatever. But yeah. I think that part's annoying, that part's frustrating. Number two is if you have somebody behind the bar who is not attentive, can't get your order right, has a bad attitude. Look, I get it. I understand. Like, who you don't know what happened, in their personal life or whatever, and all that kind of stuff like that or whatever. But when you're at the bar and everything like that, the last thing that you want to do, whether it's busy or slow or whatever, is you just want to be able to get your drink, you want to be able to get your food, you want to be able to watch your TV, and not get served a side of attitude, with it. That's number two. Number three is when you have the guy sitting next to you at the bar that feels the need to chat you up. Mm-hmm. And they are so offensive.
See, that's the difference, though, because we love a bar banter. We love sitting next to a guy and love bantering, right? There's a difference, though.
I'll give you an example.
So explain the difference, though, because I understand what you're saying.
Yeah. So here's the thing. So you love the person who's sitting next to you, and then you find out they're from out of town, mm-hmm. and they're coming in here, and what do you do? Oh, I do this. Oh, that's interesting. Oh, and then you're finding out, and I'm a Lions fan. I'm a Packers fan. And, that game in, 2004 was great. And that was fun. You guys are going to be good this year. No, like it,
that's banter.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's what you want. What you don't want is when you sit next to a guy and it's, all of a sudden he's like, oh, hey, what are you doing? What do you, you're drinking Coors Light? That's water. you got to drink an IPA, and it's like, well, no, I like Coors Light. Okay, now you got to drink an IPA and whatever, and oh, I'm so and so, by the way. What do you do for work? And oh, I do this, and oh, well, I own my own business, and let me tell you something, I'm this good, and then all of a
Yeah, and
sudden
then
they're
it's
like,
just like,
oh,
all
I'm
right,
the
what are we
greatest
doing here?
person ever. And it's like, dude, shut up.
Yeah.
First of all, like shut up. Nobody wants to hear. Like, if you have to tell me how good you are at your job, then you're not good at your job.
No.
Okay. And even if you make a lot of money doing what you do, then you're a douche and nobody likes you.
Right.
It doesn't matter.
Because if
right?
you have to walk around and tell people how much money you make, then
like,
it's because you don't have friends, because you're just carry yourself as such a douchebag. Like, the people that suck the most are the people that feel the need to tell you their resume when they introduce themselves. Hey, how you doing? I'm so and so, and I own this business and that business. I make six figures.
Right. It's like,
oh,
shut up.
And then those same people are typically the people that are assholes to the bartenders. Who,
Yes.
Which, by the way, I've bartended for 3 years now, and I don't tolerate that. Right, as a patron, when I sit down at the bar. And I'm a fellow bartender, so I give them the most respect I possibly can, because I get it. And then every now and again, I've had that guy stand next to me and strike up conversation with me, not knowing who I am, and sit there and do his little act,
berate the bartender,
And I'm sitting next to him like, hey man, like listen, like I also bartend. You're like, you got to calm it down, right? Yeah. And I'm fortunate enough to say, like, let's knock on wood, I've never really been in a bar fight, or I've never been cut off or kicked out from a bar. And I think that goes from just thankfully we're not that guy, right?
At the end of the day, it's like, whatever. Like, if you're gonna be a douche, be a douche and move on. Like I'm not gonna interact with you. I'm not gonna get after it. I'm like whatever. Like, so that's the part that irritates me. So I think that, like, you to go back to the list, like, number one, the biggest thing is we want to be able to have a spot at the bar and be comfortable.
Yeah.
Like, there's nothing that's frustrating more. Like, if I'm walking in and the rest of the place is empty, but the bar is full, then I'm gonna 180, turn around and go to plan B and go to another one, because I need to be able to elbow up, belly up, and be at the bar in front of a TV where I can watch what I want to watch, and have a little bit of room. Number two is I want to be able to not sit with an empty glass or an empty bottle for a long time.
And I understand bartenders get busy, but there's a difference between them being busy and them just not paying attention.
If the place is humping and there's one person behind there, I absolutely get it. But if the place is not, and there's multiple people back there and they're just chatting with each other while I'm sitting there with an empty glass, I got a problem, and I don't like it. And then the last one is, like, I just don't want to sit next to a douche. I don't want to sit next to somebody who's got something to say about everybody else and everything else. And it's like, you're like, listen, if we're going to have a conversation, first of all, half the time I'm at a bar because I just want to sit in front of a TV and be by myself and be quiet or whatever. But if I am going to have a conversation with somebody, I don't want it to be I want it to be something that's going to be fun, something that where I'm going to learn something about somebody or whatever.
You want it to be some bar banter.
I want it to be some bar banter.
Absolutely. I agree with your list. The only thing, and I'm not necessarily going to rearrange your list, but I will just say honorable mention, like TV situation.
Yeah.
Like, if I walk in and you've got, like, the news on when the NBA finals are on or something like that, like, and I ask you to change the TV and you say, yeah, okay, and then they walk around and take the other, and then they just never change it, or they don't know how to work the TV and I have to tell them what channel it is.
Or the Roku home screen is just kind of floating around.
Yeah, and I always, like, being in the service industry, being a server, being a bartender, being a bar back for the last 3 years of my life, when in doubt, know what channel ESPN is. Like, that's all it is. When in doubt, if you don't know the first thing about sports and you work at a bar, just at least know what channel ESPN is, so you at least can put something on the TV that isn't the news, HGTV, Food Network, or a Roku screen.
ESPN, NFL Network, NBA TV, MLB Network,
something,
NHL I mean, you got 5 options.
Right. And typically, majority of bars use DirecTV, which has the same code.
Yep.
NHL Network is 212, MLB Network is 213, NHL is 215, NBA is 216, ESPN is 206. Like, it's one of those things where you just memorize 5 channels, and when in doubt, just throw a sports channel on.
Yeah.
I hate when I'm sitting there and I'm like, "Hey, can you throw ESPN on that TV, or can you throw NHL Network on that TV?" And they're like, "Oh, well, what's happening?" And I'm
Or
like, "What
when
do you
you have
mean
to
what's
ask for the
happening?"
big game of the night, right? Like, I mean, you shouldn't have to ask
Yeah.
for a finals or a playoff game
Yeah.
or something like that to
Yep.
be on. You should be able to have that going on. The other part too is that when you get, and I don't want to offend anybody or whatever, but listen, if one of the major sports has a playoff going on, and there's a dirt track truck
Yeah.
racing
Yeah.
on, you know what I mean? Like, let's
And listen,
shift some things
your
around here.
Monster Jam and dirt and all
Yeah,
that stuff.
like,
It's cool and all, but
or the X Games, like I like,
it's
that's
cool
fun
and
or
all,
whatever.
but
But
yeah.
listen, I'm not gonna want that on my bar.
When you've got the MLB World Series on,
yeah. So,
But yeah, I mean, I would love to hear your guys' thoughts in the comments below. What's the worst situation to be at a bar? And on TikTok, what do you guys think? What are your
hold on a second.
Oh, you got a story?
I'm gonna tell you the worst situation to be at a bar. Let me tell you something. So I'm in Chicago right now. I'm in Chicago and I'm with my guy Chad. And shout out to my guy Chad.
Shout out Chad.
Chad. And so we go to this bar, and Chad's like, I got to take you to this bar because this is going to bring you back. And so we go there, and so they've got 40 ounces in the cooler that you can order a 40 ounce, and they'll put it in a bag for you. And I'm like, okay, yeah. When I was a kid, whatever, I was like, I drink some Mickey's 40 ounces, right? Like, so that's what I'm going to do. But it's the worst tasting thing you've ever had in your entire
Doesn't
life.
sound great.
But I'm like, okay, whatever. So we're throwing down 40 ounces. Okay. And 2 or 3 of them, and we're, okay. And so then we go over to this other bar. He's like, let's go to this other bar. This other bar is really cool. I'm like, all right, cool. Yeah. So we've been drinking. We were at a bar before we started having 40 ounces. Then we had 40 ounces. Then we go to this other bar, and I'm like, okay, I'm pretty hammered at this point in time. So I'm like, we're sitting there, and I had to go to the bathroom, and it's a 1-man bathroom.
Oh no.
It's one of those, you know what I mean? When a bar has a 1-man bathroom.
Shout out Burton's Orlando.
Okay.
That bathroom is
So you have that one at least has a urinal and then
but you don't want any part of that stall. But there's no door.
It is one to where shout out to the Oak Cafe and Wyandotte, where you've got the trough with the ice in it, and then you've got the toilet. There's room for 2 people, but it's essentially a 1-man. This one was a 1-man. This was a 1-man. Sheffield's in Chicago. It's a 1-man. It's a 1-man bathroom. There's 1 toilet in there. There's 2, and you close the door. And so I had to pee, and we'd been drinking for a while, and I had Mickey's in my stomach. A lot of Mickey's 40 ounces.
Yeah.
Mickey's malt liquor. Have you ever had it?
Malt liquor, by the way, is the worst.
It's awful. It's bad. It's horrible. And so I knock on the door, and the guy's in there, and I'm like, oh my God. So I'm standing there, and I'm dancing. I'm kind of shimmying. I'm dancing. I'm like, okay, I really got to go. I'm thinking to myself, what's my other option? There's one over here. It says ladies, but I know that that's a 1 person also. So maybe when the lady comes out, I just run in there and go ahead and go do it, right? But, that one's closed too, and there's a line. There's a line of ladies. So I'm like, what am I supposed to do here, right? Whatever. So I'm knocking. I'm like, oh my God, this is unbelievable. I can't handle it. So now I'm standing. I'm like, I can't stand here anymore. So I go back and I sit down, but I got my eye on the door, and I'm making sure that nobody else is coming up. And I'm like, and then all of a sudden, I mean, it felt like 10, 15 minutes. And all of a sudden, this guy comes out of the bathroom. And I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, how you do it? So I gotta go. I gotta go. So I go run in there and I shut the door. And I'm gonna tell you something. It just all hit me.
The smell.
My guy had health problems in there. And you drink a bunch of beers and then throw some 40 ounces of Mickey's on top of it, then some other beers, and I don't know what we ate, but it probably wasn't good.
Like wings or something.
Yeah, and and then you get hit with somebody who has a clear medical issue going on that was destroyed the single person bathroom. To me, that could be the worst bar situation.
Well, what ended up happening? You threw up everywhere?
I threw up all over the bar.
Over the bar?
No, not the bar. I was in the sink. I was on the toilet. I was on the walls, the mirror. I shut the door.
When was this? This was.
Oh, this was when I was working a lot out in Chicago.
Yeah, so this had to be 10 years ago.
Yeah, maybe 10 years ago. So I come out to the table. I tell Chad, I'm like, it's time to go. Like I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go.
What did Chad say?
He was just like, okay. But that was me. But me and Chad, we kind of were like that. I mean, that like most of the time, like when me and Chad went out, like if one of us was like, it's time to go, we would just get up and leave.
Just go, yeah.
You know what I mean? We would just, okay, it's time to go. I guess. All right.
I guess that's kind of how me and Chris are. Like if I look at Chris and I'm like,
and I was just like, I just came walking out and I was like, it's time to go.
Yeah.
And I walked out the door and I got a cab and I went back.
See, and that's a good thing too.
Everything was gone.
I've had a similar experience at Johnny's filling station in Orlando, a place I used to work at. But after I worked that same situation, I was hammered, had a lot in my stomach, and I go into the one-man bathroom and somebody had lit it up. And I walked in and one whiff hit me and I just started yakking everywhere.
Yeah, but you can't. That's a bad bar situation. It's a bad bar situation.
But I will say, like with Chad and stuff, like that's how I am with Chris. Like if I come out or if I go into a situation, even if we're standing next to each other the whole time, I sit there and I look at Chris and I say, it's time. He's like, all right, let's go.
If it's time to go, it's time to go.
And that's another good thing. It's always
sometimes like I would get up and go to the bathroom and I would come back to the table or come back to the bar and Chad's gone.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, okay, well I guess the night's over.
Well, that's like my guy Sam. shout out my guy Sam. He's the king of Irish goodbyes.
The king of the Irish goodbye.
There was a few times. There was actually one time we went downtown Orlando and we were down there. We were drinking. We ordered shots. Whatever. We took a shot and I'm kind of sitting there talking to the bartender and then I look up at the TV and then I look back this way and. Where the hell is it? And I check his thing, and he's like, "I'm out, dude." So no.
Time to go. It's time
to
go.
But it's always good to have the friend who's on the same because another bad bar situation is when you got the bad influence when you're ready to go and they're like one more shot.
Well, yeah.
That's when you have to just be like, I'm out and just get out of there. But I would love to hear your guys' thoughts below in the comments here. What's the worst bar situation, whether it be the people you're with, the actual atmosphere, the situation? If you have any great stories, leave them below. Make sure you guys follow the YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, all of that. We've got a lot of fun stuff planned up. Golf content coming soon. Travel videos coming soon. And, of course, more podcasts coming soon. Any closing remarks?
Got nothing.
I've got the Busch Light Apple is better than the Busch Light Lime. But what do we know?
Yeah, and I got to pee.
And I also have to pee. So we'll see y'all later. Love y'all.